All right, time for a morning garden tour. So this is a bed that I made up earlier this spring. I did a lasagna gardening somewhat kind of a method. So this is my herb bed. So I've got some dill and some, doesn't look like there's much coming up, but I got dill here, cilantro on the back, and then in the pot in the far back I put mint. I made the mistake years ago planting mint and not putting it in a container because mint will just take over. So this time I was smart and I found some mint and I put it in a pot and then put it in the bed. So it should behave itself and stay there. All right, and then coming over here, I've got some rhubarb needs to be weeded. There's a whole bunch of quack grass, but I've already picked it down once, and it looks like it's getting close to needing to be picked again. I've probably picked about 30 pounds already. That's a lot. And then I've got a melon bed here. I had planted a few watermelons, and some of them didn't make it. Cats like to do stuff in my garden, so unfortunately I lost a bunch of watermelons. But all these little bunches of onyx trays, I don't know if you can see, but this is a horseradish. It's huge. It's probably almost 3 feet tall. And last year we were going to harvest them in the fall, but they never got around to it. So we should have a good horseradish harvest. All right, I feel like I've got a lot of weeds in my pathways right now. They were supposed to be weed free, but unfortunately I let the chickens out and they just make a mess. So what they do is they spread seeds and whatever from the beds and into the pathways. So as you can see, there's still weeds in the pathways. This bed here, or pathway, I've kind of cleaned out except for right at the end. So it's a work in progress. Anyway, so here anyways, I've got some cucumbers. I did these as transplants, so I'm not sure what the deal is. They're not coming along too great, but I'm thinking maybe water is the issue, so we'll try to keep up on the watering and see how that comes along. Of course, a few volunteer sunflowers, and why not? Feed the birds, keep the pollinators happy. And then I've got 3 little boxes here with strawberries. Of course, more weeds, but we'll get that. And yeah, mulched them with straw, so hopefully that will help. There's the other one right there. And then coming over here, I also made this planter. It's supposed to be a strawberry planter years ago. Never really successfully used it, but I did put a few strawberries in here, and I see there's a little strawberry guy there. So, and I put these pails in here with compost. So what I do is I fill the pail with water and let it drain and hopefully water and fertilize the strawberries at the same time. So there's a couple in each. And then I've got some squash here. Of course, weeds, prevalent, but we address them as we can. So I don't know if this is the yellow zucchini or the green one, but there it is. I have a pallet garden here that I made a couple years ago, and I planted my eggplants in here, but we had a really super late frost, like around June 11th or something. So that's where the brown damage is, but they seem to be bouncing back, so hopefully we'll still get a harvest on them. They definitely need a good watering though. So I'm going to set up the sprinkler here this morning. All right, this long bed, as you can see, grows weeds very well, but within the weeds are carrots, right there. And of course, you know, volunteer tomato plants. And then this section I planted, I did a mix here so you can see. There's beets and there's onions right there. Right there. I had some extra onion seeds, so I figured I might as well plant it. My plan was to just grow a whole pile of carrots because, you know what, honestly, store-bought supermarket carrots don't cut it. So this whole bed, which is probably, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 40 feet long maybe, 1/2 of it is planted in carrots, the 1/2. But then there's more carrots planted on this other side where there doesn't look like there's much growing. They just got planted a little while ago, so they're coming along. So these carrots got planted quite a bit earlier in May. And the ones that are on this side just got planted maybe a week or 10 days ago, so they'll just be coming up soon. But these other ones look like they're coming along. So some of it is, I think up until this stake is like a rainbow mix, so like purple and yellow and white carrots. And then the other rest is all Nantes or Corliss Nantes, which in my opinion is the sweetest and best carrot you can get. And then beets here. All right, moving over here. Here we set up T-posts with fencing, and then I've got tomatoes planted on it. So my plan is, these are the indeterminate tomatoes that I have, so I'm gonna work on keeping them as one stem and just train them up and prune them as they grow, which means indeterminate means they'll keep growing all summer. They can get pretty big. And then some marigolds, because why not have some flowers in your garden? Here's a really big tomato plant. I know it's kind of risky to buy it with this many buds and stuff on from the greenhouse, but it was buy one get one free, so you know how it is, just can't help yourself. But this is one I haven't grown before. I think it's a black something or other. It's an heirloom one. And so those ones I bought at the greenhouse. These other tomatoes are ones that I've started inside. A few of my favorites. And this one is the Jean Flamme one, which is a French heirloom. It's a delicious yellow tomato. It's maybe golf ball size roughly. Yellow-orange kind of tomato. So good in salads. Love that one. Here's one of our little kittens. He looks pretty feisty this morning. Hey, don't be killing that flower. Here's my cold frame. I had, as you can see, I've got lettuce in here and spinach, a mix of lettuce, and then kale here that I planted. Well, some of that spinach is from last fall actually, and it overwintered or didn't germinate last fall and grew this year. And then the lettuce I planted, and so we've been picking lettuce from here for a long time. Haven't picked recently because I think some of it's gone bitter, so I'm still trying to figure out if I water it lots, if I can get it back, or if I'll just collect the romaine out of here. Here's my bean patch, which I'm very disappointed with. It just seems like it's germinated slow, but then we had that late frost like I mentioned earlier. And so all those browns, like it's got leaves on it, so I'm not sure if the leaves are sapping the soil or if I'm not keeping it wet enough. And then some leftover onions that got left, I guess, in the garden last year, they're coming along pretty good. So just picking off the blossoms so that they don't go to seed and then they just still produce a bulb. That's my plan with the onions. Trying to take advantage of vertical gardening. So I have this trellis here that I grew cucumbers on last year. I've got some snap peas coming up here. They didn't seem to germinate very well, but there are a few here, so hopefully we'll get a few. And then I transplanted some lettuce from the cold frame and put them under here, so I thought, well, if they're a little shaded, that might help keep them going better longer. This is my sweet pepper patch. And so this guy here, this plant right here, the brown leaves, that one got frosted. So as did that one. So I ended up buying some new pepper plants. But the ones that did get frost, actually, they have, see, there's new growth on there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I think it'll bounce back. I figured it would be too late, which is why I ended up buying some new plants just to keep me going. But what's interesting to me was this bed is about 4 feet by 4 feet roughly, and every single pepper plant had frost damage except for this one. And there's actually a flower there, or a flower bud, or maybe it's already Yeah, I think that's a flower bud. That's pretty cool. This is my celery patch. I actually just I set the lattice on top to keep my cats out because they think a bed is a litter box, and they are definitely mistaken. These celery plants actually were volunteer ones in my garden. So I just kept them watered, dug them up, transplanted them. So there's, I don't know how many in here, 25, 30 maybe. So trouble with celery is always trying to keep it from being hollow. So I do have boron, so hopefully I'll be diligent with getting it like fertilizing it or whatever with that so that they don't become hollow. And boron is a trace mineral that's really important for celery to keep it from becoming hollow. And lots of water, of course, because celery is, mostly water. Here's my hot pepper bed. Again, same size as the sweet pepper, but 4x4. I had only a few that I had started in my garden, and they're not looking great. I think my beds just dry out really fast. So hopefully we can get that rectified with just maybe some fertilizer and a little more frequent watering. And then I did buy some more chili peppers. I think they're chili peppers at the greenhouse the other day. This bed here is more sweet peppers. I bought some more sweet peppers at the greenhouse. And then there's also some volunteer calendula, so that'll be fun to have some flowers here. And a volunteer sunflower. And then over here I want to show you something cool. So here we've got an old gazebo frame that we scored for free somewhere, and we thought, well, where are we going to put it? In the garden, of course. So what I have in mind is to have these peppers here, or not peppers, sorry, beans, are I don't know, an Asian bean of some kind. They're like a noodle bean. They grow like 2-3 feet long. It's crazy, but they're a real good climber. So I've got them in this pot. I'm noticing issues with the leaves, so I'll have to check to see if it's too wet or what's going on. So I'm hoping to get that to grow all the way up this frame. And then I have a tomato plant here in this pail that I'm going to train and tie up on the post. Here I've got my grapes, or Valiant grapes, just a great juice, jam, jelly grape or whatever. I do make wine out of it. It's pretty good, but not your prized wine grape, that's for sure. All right, and then over here, I made a little bed for some Kentucky Wonder beans, and the plan is to get them to climb up the side of the gazebo as well. I might put some more mesh on if it seems like it needs more, but I'll probably put another post in here from this corner up to tie it up on kind of on an angle, so it's sort of like a teepee kind of thing, and then it can grow up because those Kentucky Winders are definitely climbers. And then I've got a straw bale here that I conditioned. I actually had it started in the greenhouse, so I got beets and carrots growing here. And then I have some cucamelons right here. There's a little guy there and there. A couple little lettuce plants, we'll see how they do. And cucamelons I'm hoping will train up here as well. Cucamelon, it looks like a little mini watermelon, like the size of a loonie or something like that. They're pretty small, a quarter. And of course, bales and cats. They love to climb on bales. And then I've got another little trellis here with some more Valiant grapes that I actually did cuttings years ago. And I pruned them really late, so they're growing a lot from the bottom. So that's my fault, but I'll train them better next year. All right, this is my spinach bed. I planted these from transplants. They need to be harvested big time. And they are bolting, which is probably just because it's so nice outside. But I'm just going to keep picking off the flowers and hopefully keep them at least producing for a little longer. Here's another little trellis that I have with some cucumbers. My cucumber transplants are pathetic, so I'm very disappointed. There's one guy here thinking he's just not getting enough water, so I'm going to try to keep them watered. And guess what? More volunteer sunflower plants. And it looks like there's actually a flower there. See that? The start of one? Right there. And another very sad looking cucumber plant. But, you know, gardening is all learning and figuring it out. And then I have another trellis here. And then I planted some more cucumbers from seed because I was really disappointed with how my cucumbers are doing. And I actually have some coming up right there. And I thought I saw some here somewhere else, but either way, they're coming along. All right, so, and then on the other side, so that side that I was showing you, that's my permanent beds. So under this tunnel here, I've got my brassicas, cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then here's my bed with peas. One side is weeded, one side is not. A few lettuce plants, so I got my peas. Sorry guys. And then there's a whole bunch of more carrots, as I was saying, you know, fresh carrots from the garden, and even stored carrots grown from your garden are so much better. So I did some carrots along the edge here. Kind of patchy germination, but some of it is still coming up. They're a little late. See, there's some baby ones there, and these guys, like, it's just incredible how long carrot seed can take to germinate. Some more beans here. These ones are also looking yellow. Thinking I might amend the soil a little bit, see if that helps. And then I had some volunteer, once again, sunflower plants. So I planted them here because the sunflowers are kind of fun. And then this is the side where I put my determinate tomatoes. So the ones that produce most of their crop all at once. So I've got some Viva Italia and some Martino's Roma, I think. And they seem to be doing really well here. I'm very happy with how they're looking. So that's all along here. And as you can see, weeding is always needing. But the tomato plants, actually, they're looking pretty good. Did another row of peas here. Made another fence. These ones are, I think, mostly Dalve peas. I got that seed from Vessie's. And they're starting to come up. Some a little patchy, but maybe it's just hard to keep my really sandy, light soil moist enough. And going away on holidays and everything else that's going on in life, sometimes it's just not. It takes some time. But they're coming. And then over here, I've got some more tomatoes because I had some other tomatoes either germinate late or whatever in pots that I already had different plants in. And so I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to tomatoes. So rather than just chuck them, I planted them. So that's these guys. And these ones I'm pretty sure will be all indeterminate, which means they need staking anyways. So there's one guy here and there. And then sometimes I'm going through the garden weeding and I see the odd volunteer. And sometimes I just actually transplant it. Sometimes I pull it. Some people say you should always pull them, but you know, that's hard. This is more tomatoes with the trellis and rebar. This fence probably isn't high enough, but we'll make it work. This is 4 rows of corn. I think it's the extra early super sweet. So I just got it weeded yesterday and had the sprinkler on it this morning, so it's looking really nice. And a good day of sunshine today. I think high is 28, so that should help this corn. And I just think corn is so cool because the way the water beads on it and then it catches the water inside. So cool. And then potato patch. So, are we seeing? Yeah, I'm seeing potato bugs. I was picking off a few yesterday already. So annoying. Anyways, try to keep short tabs of them. I'll have to go get some diatomaceous earth. Sprinkle that on here. Maybe neem oil will work. Anyways, it looks really patchy, but I don't know if you can see. I'll just show you here, but there's some brown patches. We had that late frost, and I didn't cover anything. I just took my chances, which wasn't very smart, I guess. And so the potatoes had some frost damage on the top, but whatever. The main potato is growing under the ground, so I'm not too concerned. They'll bounce back. But this potato plant is already almost, these ones anyways, almost up to my knees. So they're doing okay. Anyways, that's a little glimpse into my garden. I will do another garden tour a little later on this summer and just show the progress. All right, thanks for watching. One more thing in my garden. I've got 3 beds. They're raised beds, but they're actually what used to be hydroponics trays. I just filled them with fresh topsoil compost kind of mix last summer and planted some melons in them last summer. This summer I've got onions. As you can see, there's weeds that need to be picked. And I've got some radishes growing here in the corner. All right, and then I have, this is another bed from the hydroponics trays, as you can see. This is all garlic. There are some weeds I need to pull out, but this is all just garlic. The first patch here is really small. It's ones that I dug up when I made that herb bed earlier. There were some of these little guys, so I just planted them. So they were really small, but the rest of these tall ones, these are all ones I just bought a couple of packs, I think, of Mackenzie garlic at Canadian Tire. Separated the bulbs and planted 1 clove each, and I'm really pleased with how it's coming along. They're looking amazing. I'm so excited about having good garlic this year. And this is the other hydroponics tray that's converted into a raised bed, and these are onions actually that I just had that were really small from last year that were kicking around either underneath my sink or downstairs in my pantry, so I figured I'd throw them in the ground and see what happens. But you can see there's one actually has a flower bud right here. So I'm actually just going to snap it off so it doesn't put energy into flower and it can still produce a bulb. And then, hey, no harm in having more onions. And then the other ones on this side are ones, a few crystal wax. You can see the packet there on the end there, right there. So there's got some crystal wax. Can't remember if I planted this all seed crystal wax, but I'm kind of looking at the way it's planted, and that's probably what happened. And then these other onions in that first bed, those ones are all, I start them in soil blocks, and I do like 3 or 5 seeds per soil block, and then just plant the entire soil block into the ground. And since I've been doing onions like that, I've just had really good crops, so I'm very happy. And in the corner between those hydroponics trays, I don't know if you can see, but this is a horseradish. It's huge. It's probably almost 3 feet tall. And last year we were going to harvest them in the fall, but they never got around to it. So we should have a good horseradish harvest.